Oh, I didn't see you there. I was busy looking for some hidden secrets. Because that's how that works. What the? Hey, Spencer Gang, what's poppin'? What? That's taken 2? Figures. Of course it's taken. Okay. Well, welcome back to another video. It's great to see you guys again. And before we begin, I just want to say I am sick, so that's why I sound like a dying jackal. Anyway, today we're going over my top 10 hidden things inside of deck cards. And some of these are actually pretty interesting that I didn't even know of before I started researching for this video. Without further ado, let's just... Alright, without further ado, let's just get straight into the video. What was that? Oh, he said, make sure to don't forget to like, comment, and share if you enjoy what you're seeing here. And if you're not subscribed, why don't you consider subscribing and hitting the bell? So, without further ado, let's just get straight into it, boys. Number 10. Okay, so to begin this list, we have something that I noticed by myself without any internet help or anything. And if you look at the back of a normal bicycle standard playing card, you'd see a little naked baby angel, whatever that is. And if you look closely, you notice that it looks like they're sitting on something that's stabbing their special zones. But actually, they're not sitting on a very sharp spike or whatever, because if you were to look very, very closely, you can see they're actually holding on to something, which, if you take that into account with these cards are called bicycles, you would notice that this is just the front view of them riding bicycles. So, no, they're not sitting on something that looks really, really uncomfortable. It's just the front view of them riding a bicycle. Just something I noticed that gets very misconception. Like, alright, go to the next one. Number 9. So at number 9, we have something that's actually quite interesting. You see, no one knows that if this was the exact purpose of a deck of cards, but it's quite interesting how all of this lines up. So, we have red cards and black cards, and red cards represent daytime, and black cards can represent nighttime. And then, this is where it gets really, really interesting. You see, there are 13 cards in each suit, ace through king or whatever, and there are 13 lunar cycles. And there's 4 suits in a deck, diamonds, hearts, clubs, and spades. And there's 4 different seasons. Also, there's 52 cards in a pack, and just so happens to be 52 weeks in a year. Number 8. So a deck of cards can be shuffled into so many different ways, different like order of a deck of cards. Like you can see this is the order. We have the Jack of Spades, 10 of Hearts, 2 of Clubs, and so on into this order. There's so many different possibilities for that can be represented by the like equation of 52 factorial. And if you don't know what factorial is, that's 52 times 51 times 50 times 49 times 48 and so on down to 1. And that number equates to 8 times 10 to the 67th, which really is just 8 with 67 zeros after it. That's a ton. And to put that in perspective, you see this order right here, that's an order. If I just give it a single cut, that's an order. And if you were to take every single deck of cards in existence right now and in the past, every single deck of cards that ever existed, and you take every single order that those deck of cards were in, none of those orders would have been repeated. Every single one of those in all of history have been different. Okay, moving on. Number 7. If you were to look at the kings in a pack of cards, you would notice that the king of clubs, king of hearts, and king of spades, they all have 2 eyes. But the king of diamonds only has 1. And now this is where it gets interesting, because I found a website that said the reason why he has 1 eye is because he's depicted to be a god, a one-eyed god that can kill people with the snap of a finger. That sounds pretty legit, but I mean, this is just this little idea I had, it's just an idea, it's nothing too big or anything, just putting it out there. Maybe the reason why he only has one eye is maybe just because they just wanted to draw him with one eye. I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. It's probably the God thing. Totally. Yeah, it's probably the God. Number 6. Why was the Ace of Spades the only card in the pack that usually looks a lot different? And now the reason behind this actually has to do with tax. So way back when they were first printing cards or whatever, they had actually taxes on cards. And what they would do is they have little stamps. And these stamps, they would stamp on the card. And that showed that before they were sold, the people who made the cards paid the tax to the government, so then they were able to sell it. So they had to stamp the cards whenever they paid the tax to be able to sell these. So, and they always did on the Ace of Spades because the Ace of Spades had the most room. But then over the years, the stamps got more intricate and everything, so that people couldn't forge them or something like that. And then when they stopped enforcing the tax, what they did is they kept on printing bicycles with the stamps, not the bicycles, sorry. They I'm dying. They printed the spades with the with an intricate design, just in case they went back to the original taxing thing, just to cover their behinds. Number 5. Now, believe it or not, the origin of the Joker was not actually originally to be a wild card. You see, it actually was part of a game called Your Tree? Your Tree? I can't pronounce it for the life of me, but this is how it's spelled. But it's a game, but you needed an extra card in it, so they started printing extra cards, and I forget what it was called. But they weren't originally called Jokers, but they were for this game. And then in the 1880s, they finally decided just to put the Jokers, or then they decided to change the name to Joker, and then put it into the playing cards just as a wild card to have, just because so many people were playing your tree. Number 4. Now this one is actually quite interesting. So most people know the King of Hearts as the Suicide King, because you can see it looks like he's stabbing his head with his sword. But he's not actually committing suicide. And here's why. Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm the King of Hearts, okay? With my hat, okay? And you can see the top of the hat is out of frame right now. And what they wanted originally to happen is they had a sword, okay? And they had the sword up like this, and like you're gonna strike him down or something like that. But the thing is there's not enough room above the head to see the sword. So over time, in each of the different printings and the like each new deck of cards came out, and like slowly over time went behind his head. So it's actually, the sword's actually behind his head, and he's in like the stance to like meh, chop someone up with a sword. I don't know. But what's interesting is once I figured that out, I looked at him again, and you can obviously tell that it actually is going behind his head. It's not actually stabbing it, it's just going to the head, because he has the sword up, ready to slash anyone that comes his way. Oh yeah. Number 3. Okay, so these top 3 ones are actually one of the most interesting that I found out of all of these, so let's just get straight into it. So in 3rd place is the Bicycle Spotter pack, and this goes back to the Vietnam War, when the soldiers were fighting in war, and what Bicycle did, the playing card company, they got a deck of cards, and instead of printing a deck of cards like normal kings and queens and stuff like that, they actually printed pictures of different military aircrafts like ships, planes, tanks, or whatever, and they give it to the soldiers, and that way the soldiers will be able to identify what military like vehicles or whatever were of the enemies, or which one was on their side, just by looking at the pack of cards. So they were able to figure out a way to give every single soldier basically a little guide to show them what's the good guys and what's the bad guys. So this one also has to do with war. So in some cultures, the Ace of Spades was actually a card representing death. And in some of the wars, the soldiers, our American soldiers, actually used that to their advantage. So what they did is they got thousands upon thousands of these cards and they gave it out to the soldiers. And what they do is they stick it in their hats or put it on the dead corpses of the enemies, and that would instill fear on the enemies because they had the Ace of Spades. Now, it was all psychological, but I mean, in some cases, it probably worked. So last but not least, this is one of the most interesting things that I actually found. So, this again has to do with war, but it's honestly so stinking cool. So what Bicycle did is, actually before I tell you, I should tell you that a card, how it's made is it has a thin piece of paper. Let's get a card. Where's it? Here we go. So the front has a very thin piece of paper that just has the printing on it, and in the back is the same thing, and in the middle is cardboard. And these are glued together, so these are 3 layers of a card. And what you can actually do is, if you know how to do it, you can split these cards apart into their different layers. And so what Bicycle actually ended up doing was they printed also on the cardboard a map. And if you're able to peel every single card in the deck and then lined it up, it would make a map. And what they would do is they would send these decks of cards with maps in it to prisoners of war. So they were able just to get these deck of cards, and then they were able to peel them, get the maps, and help them escape. I mean, is that cool or what? Just saying. Talk about some serious knowledge being dropped on all y'all. Yeah, no, this ain't gonna work. Sorry, little guy, I'm gonna have to go down there. So yeah, guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And comment down below which one was your favorite whatever that was. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep this short and sweet, and I will see you guys in the next one. Deuces and God bless. Hey guys, how are you? Hey guys.